easier using InDesign. So I'm going to start the timer for 6 minutes, and here we go. Alright, so I've opened up here a new page, and you see I have the grids on just like you would with your Cedar Post page. Now a lot of people I've seen come over here to the right side, and they click on this preview thing to see how the page is going to look. That's fine, and you can do it that way, but it takes a lot of time to click and hold. Much faster way is to just press the W key and switch in between your viewing modes. If you want to see your page full screen, press Shift W and it'll open up in full screen. Press Escape to go ahead and close that. Alright, now let's talk about working with text. So everybody knows to use the type tool, drag a box, type in your headline. Looks good, right? We're going to go ahead and make it Helvetica, actually Helvetica Noi. And we'll go ahead and make it bold so that that's our Cedar Post format. Now the InDesign box here goes up to 72 point, and that looks pretty nice. And there's my headline, looking good. Very, very nice. Now what I'm going to go ahead and do is add some more text, but this time it's going to be body text. So I'm going to go ahead and create this big old box here, and we're going to add 6 columns to it. Actually, that's a lot. We'll just do 4. One thing that I haven't seen people do, but you can, is to see how your page is going to look with text in it, is to right-click or control-click and then say fill with placeholder text. And that's going to put some text in there. That way you can kind of work and see how it's going to look with text on your page. Now the problem with this text, and this is something I see a lot, is that people don't have this formatted correctly in the columns. Now unless you have an opinion page, you need to do this consistently. So what you want to do is highlight all the text, come up here on the toolbar and use this option, which is justify with last line left, and you'll see that'll fit it inside the columns, which looks really nice. The other thing though that I see a lot is that the tabs are set wrong. You'll see if we come into InDesign and press the tab key, it puts a ton of space in there, and we really don't need that much space. Your grid back here is lined up in what are called picas, which is the pretty standard measurement for all design things. InDesign will actually put picas in for you as the tabs if you highlight all the text. Again, you come up here to this option and type 1P0. And as you can see, it has put in all the tabs every time you press the Enter key, and if you want to do that, you just press Enter, and boom, it puts in a tab for you, which is pretty easy to do. But now you'll see that our headline is actually too small for the text that I've put in. So what can you do to solve that? Well, let me show you. A lot of people will resize their text frame, they'll come up here and they'll either type in a number and kind of guess, well, that was way too big. That works, but it's frustrating. What's much easier to do is to come over here and grab what's called the free transform tool, click and hold with click and drag, holding the shift key to keep it all in alignment, and you'll see that the text will resize with the frame, making it much, much easier to work with. Okay, good. Let's see. How much time do I have left? About 3 minutes. Now let's talk about pictures. So if I wanted to put a picture in here, of course I'd come over here and make a frame, and we'll put it right here. Now, unfortunately, that's covering up my text. What can you do to solve this? If you go to Window and then Text Wrap, you can go ahead and set that, and it'll push it out of the way. You can also adjust the bottom here to add a little bit of extra space for a caption, which I'll talk about in just a second. Now, when you want to put a picture in, I've seen a lot of people go up here to File, and then they go to Place, and that works fine, but again, it's slow. What's much faster is to press Command D, which will bring up the Place menu. You can go ahead here and find a nice picture and plop it in there. This is another thing InDesign does that's super annoying. It puts in pictures way, way, way too big. Now, there are a couple of problems I've seen with this too. People click on this and they get the brown box and they go to resize it, but unfortunately they don't hold the shift key and they end up stretching their photo in a weird way and making it look incorrect. The much better thing to do is to hold the shift key when you drag the photo so that it stays consistent. You want to adjust photos using 2 hands. If I see your left hand loose when you're resizing a photo, I know you're going to be doing it wrong because the human eye is actually more inaccurate than we give it credit for. But what if you're so lazy like Tyson and you don't even want to do that? If you click once on the photo, come up here on the toolbar and highlight over this thing or click on it, fill frame proportionally, you'll see it will resize just how you want it, and then you can actually just go in and adjust it where you need it to be cropped rather than having to resize the entire thing. Alright, I've got 2 minutes and 11 seconds left. Perfect. Let's talk about captions. If I come over here and grab the type tool, and I'm going to write out a great caption about this turkey, blah blah, I cannot type. So there's our caption, a really nice one. We're going to set this, of course, to the right font. Nicely done. Okay, so I have this caption, I like the way it looks, and now I'm going to go ahead and put it in under the photo where I made the space, right? Oh, no I'm not, because I said text wrap. What can you do? If you press Command B, it'll bring up text frame options, tell it to ignore text wrap, and look, you can now put it right underneath the photo, which is nice. The other thing that I forgot to mention, but I did earlier, I realized, is if your frame is too big for the content, double-click on the right corner and it'll make the frame the size of the content. That's pretty nice to know. Now let's talk about spell check. Okay, I know that you guys hate using the Command I feature, which checks spelling because it goes through every single word in the whole thing. And we know that there are certain words that InDesign hates. Sandpoint is one of them, and we use that word a lot. So if you have some text, and you want to spell check it, I actually have this turned on, so we'll go ahead and turn it off. But if you go to Preferences and then Spelling, you'll see when I have dynamic spelling turned off, it just looks like normal text. And if I was quickly reading my page, I might think that this word is spelled correctly because I know this one is. But of course, if I tell InDesign to do that, it's going to tell me Sandpoint is wrong, and I don't have time for that. So what you can do instead is if you come up here to the InDesign menu and then go to Preferences and then go to Spelling, you can actually say Enable Dynamic Spelling, and it's sort of a throwback to Microsoft Word where it underlines the things in red that you have spelled wrong. Of course, we know Sandpoint is spelled right. Check is actually spelled wrong. That's good to know. Let's see, I have how much time now? 30 seconds left. Okay, let's see. One thing that's nice is when you have set up all of your text like this, if you highlight it and you go to Type and then Paragraph Styles, what you can do then is actually click this new thing. Go ahead and rename it to Cedar Post. And then what you can do is every time you make a new text box, instead of having to go to all the options that I just showed you, you see it's now ragged right and it doesn't have the tabs and everything. If you highlight all that and click on this body copy, look, it'll format it all for you with one click, which is pretty nice, and then you don't have to change it. That's the end. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you learned a lot. Thanks.